It's saying right now it's preparing. All right, I apologize,
Okay.
Dale.
Okay.
It looks
No,
good on our
thanks,
end
Jen.
now.
All
Okay.
right. Good.
No worry, I'm easy
There we go.
and
Sorry
again,
about that.
sure. I'm trying to also move fast enough. I don't take up your whole meeting.
Okay.
Uh,
Just want people
All
to be
right.
able to hear it if they want to play back. Thank you, Dale.
Yep.
sure.
Dale, I'm gonna pause you.
Sure.
Okay. That's okay. Dale, I'm gonna pause you for just 1 second. So for video purposes, we have yep, we have started the meeting and oh, I'm getting a very delayed feedback on my voice. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, it sounds
Heather,
good.
you need to press mute on the YouTube.
Oh, that's the problem. All right.
And go back to Zoom.
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
It's not as easy as it looks in the PowerPoint presentation, Jeff.
I
Don't I know it? Truly.
I mean,
This is my third try.
We-
Finally got it.
I even did a trial run earlier today just so I wouldn't screw it up. Where is the mute? All right, where is the mute?
Is it on the picture, the actual like video, the live video? If you
Yeah,
No.
it should be like you're just muting the video itself. Like if you were gonna just turn the volume off on that.
Yeah. Do you see, Heather, where it says YouTube up in the top right-hand corner? There's a drop down. Heather, can you hear me?
Yes.
So Heather, if you
Up in the top right-hand
if
corner,
you're looking
there's a
at the
drop down.
Heather, are you looking at the YouTube screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, on the actual image, on Dale's image there,
Yep.
if you put your cursor on top of it, you can see the live red bar along the bottom. Off to the
Yes.
left, there's the little
Oh, okay. There we go. Thank you. Got it. That's what I needed. All right. Sorry, everybody.
All learning together.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
I'm good.
Back to
And
our regularly scheduled
Okay.
programming.
like I said, I can kind of power
Yes,
through this.
okay.
I could kind of power through this idea in 5 minutes at the most and be open
All
for
right.
questions. So basically, just suggesting two plants I've done well with locally is all I'm up to, right? The bluebells and these ramps are fun. And so, for those who haven't tasted them, it's a really unique flavor in the garlic onion group. And what we do is we might collect a quarter or a fifth of these individual leaves and we put them in a food dryer and dry them and make a little parsley shaker out of them, if you will. So there's many ways to eat and share these, and there's a whole folklore. Look up ramp, RAMPS, and you'll go down some really fun rabbit holes. So this was at our place. The ramps, young ones are in the background. So I'll just show you. They look like little spears of grass, and that's about 3 years old. But if you just scatter them, they'll almost always come up around here. Again, an average to rich soil, sometimes down by the creek. This is by my little creek behind our house. It runs between Flint Hill and North Creek. Runs parallel to those roads. And so they're tiny ones. You see them in a row? So they're maybe 2 or 3 years old now. And I marked some of these because that's more than I need in one place. I could dig some for people to start other people's patches. Oh, there's Sparky, the world's most dangerous dog. I just put the pruners there just to see, oh, more young ones. Isn't that great? They're coming up. So I have older patches and I've been scattering them every year since 2010. So I have different ages of them. And this is maybe 5 or 10,000 seeds on the porch drying out. And they're ripe in the fall. And the other plant I might want to mention is pawpaws are also easy to do this way and add to landscapes. You can plant the seeds And when the pawpaws are ripe, the ramp seeds are ripe, and call it mid-September. Okay, so you can just scatter these babies around, and it's an onion. So they have these round flowers like the onion group, and they bloom white, and then they form their seeds, those little black babies we just saw. So that's September. That's probably June or July. Oh, didn't mean to leave that one in there. That's the Mertensia or bluebell setting seed. Yeah, so we're substantially through the ones. I just want to get that idea out there that we could scatter these things. So these are some pawpaws that we grow here, just 2 or 3 dozen trees, no big orchard or anything, but it's kind of fun. So this is a native fruit that's very tropical tasting, very interesting, cool stuff. But I just wanted to mention that this is called rewilding. And the other thing is, I gave Noah, I forget Noah's last name, but he's pretty active in the parks around here.
Oscar.
Yeah, the Zoom link, and he's a buddy, and him and his neighbor Ian. Ian had got seeds from me, and he scattered them, thinking I was a madman and a crazy guy. Now his are blooming, or his will be blooming in a few weeks, and he's a fanatical believer. So I wanted to leave the discussion with this group to say we could set up a Saturday morning coming up in 2, 3, 4 weeks when these all bloom, and invite people over if you want, or we could also go to Ian's house. I haven't exactly asked him formally, but I told him I might invite them to visit one or both. So we're all a small, friendly gang, and see how this works. So that's all. It's a way to be friendly and helpful. And so these are some of the other plants I have growing under the pawpaws. So sometimes when they fall, they have a nice native ground cover cushion. So I give talks about all this stuff, of course. So that's a little home landscape there. And this is all an invitation to come visit. This is, again, Sparky with a rain lily. So that's all I kind of have prepared. So maybe we have time for questions, or maybe you have to move on.
Hey, Dale, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
No.
I was just wondering if the bluebells or ramps help with erosion at all.
Well, everything you have growing is holding the soil, right? So yeah, they would. I mean, they're not gonna be super helpful when these big floods right by the creek, but everything growing builds soil that has a tendency to hold together rather than run away. So absolutely, they're not grown for that specifically, but the more variety you have from trees, shrubs, vines, ground covers, bulbs, perennials, and back again, the more carbon your soil builds, right? And the more diversity you have, the happier the pollinators, the butterflies, but also they do help hold the soil together and also add to it in fun ways. So it's a whole other art and science I deal with, is how natural ecosystems actually build soil over time. It's a whole other fun topic we can save for another time or whatever. But specifically, they're not known for that, right? But they certainly help in the right direction.
How invasive are they?
Well, that's not quite the right word. So invasive, I would say, look at it as a progression, right? From some plant that barely lives, and only is one plant forever, right? We'll call that at 0. And bamboo or multiflora rose, maybe they're 100, right? They're super aggressive and they spread like crazy, right? So these guys are, at 20 or 30 on that 1 to 100 progression. They'll multiply themselves slowly, but again, if you remember what the seeds look like, the ramp seeds are little black BBs, so they don't travel far. That's why they're not traveling from my place to yours, right? They don't blow in the wind. So it's really not a discussion. I mean, the I word invasive generally isn't even applied to native plants. There are some aggressive native plants, and these aren't among them.
Yeah, that to be clear, Dale, these are all natives, right? Everything you showed.
Yeah, the three plants I showed are native in our county.
Yeah. So the idea is as we trim back vines and other invasives like multiflora rose in our preserves, if we don't plant something, an invasive comes back. Or maybe it's a 50-50 chance. I don't know. So I think it's an interesting idea to try to get more of the natives to come take over instead of the invasives.
Yeah, I actually was paging around. I kind of screwed up. There was one other native I was going to suggest that I had a picture of. I don't know what the heck happened to it. It's called Pachyra. It's called golden groundsel. It's a slightly weedy, unexciting little bunch of orange daisies in a cluster in mid-spring. You'll see them around a lot because it's a slightly weedy native ground cover, right? So different other parks I know are using that to try to fight the oh, what the heck is that thing? Yeah,
Japanese stiltgrass.
no, the mats of yellow flowers
Mm.
that come any minute. Anyway, there are one or two other great aggressive species we could also try, but I just wanted to plant the idea of do we want to give the blessings to do a little scattering, and also the famous Noah who I mentioned, I gave him a garbage bag or two of bluebell seeds with Ian, and they did scatter some at the what you call it park, the Carson Park, Parsons
Crossing.
Park
Crossing.
with whoever's blessings, so that was scattered a couple years ago. So some of this is happening because they're local natives. The price is right. They kind of belong there, and our landscapes have gotten a bit, what's that word? Degenerated, you might say, of diversity and local natives. Um, so there's a role to be played for stewardship, you might say.
That would be interesting at Goodwin, where there's that huge open field of oh, Canadian thistle. Would it take
Uh,
over a thistle field?
Neither of the two plants I pointed to would do much there. They generally need a fair amount of shade, a good half a day's worth of shade. And thistles are rarely that strong in the shade. The thistles are
It's full sun, what you
right
said.
or a sun plant. So we might need another suite of plants there. But the other thing is, if you don't do anything, other things will crowd the thistles out. The thistles are a short-term reaction to soil disturbance, right? So now around here, the anything that'll come is bittersweet and multiflora rose. So that goes back to the whole idea I'm presenting that it isn't a bad thought to add some good guys to the seed bank. Now, will all my good guys outcompete all the bad guys? No way. But it's a start. And that's another reason why I invite you out here sometime. So maybe we could talk about that or have an email or something.
So is Dawn on the line? Does she have any questions? I think she's a
Yeah, Dale and I had met. Dale, I'm the one that administers the healing garden.
Yeah, we
And
met at somebody's mailbox there. Yeah.
that's right. And Noah is my guardian angel. I'm with Noah. And he is my husband
Hey,
also.
Dawn, we can't hear you. Speak in your speaker or something.
Okay, hold on.
Don, we have to fix your speaker, baby.
I don't know why. Is that better? Shoot. Hmm.
Well, maybe there's a chat too, but yeah, we're not hearing you too well at all, Dawn. I'm sorry, but big hugs, and we'll 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 figure it out.
All right. Dale, if you would go down and exit out of your screen sharing, I'm sure I can do it.
So, Dale, I like the idea. I have no idea how to harvest this stuff. I mean, you make it sound easy, but I would probably pick the wrong stuff and end up scattering invasives. So we definitely need some guidance on what to pick. And then how to dry it. You showed it drying on your porch, but how long is that? Is that weeks or all winter, or what do you do?
Well, again, it's not really necessary for any of them. If you recall, there's pictures, you have a little arm of the bluebells that's 18 inches long with all these little side shoots on it full of seeds. You can pinch that off and put it in a garbage bag and drive to your house 5 minutes away and scatter those little mini branches over
Oh,
half an acre. And then you'll have a bunch of seed in the bottom of the bag that I'd say be careful with and spread that out a little more, all in the course of an hour or two or whatever. So you don't, pardon me, have to dry them. But if you're not going to scatter them soon, they'll turn to mush in your bag. So
Okay.
you've got to either scatter them right away or dry them a bit to where you can scatter them when they're a little bit drier. You got it. So
yeah, it's very helpful. Yeah.
yeah, and that's one thing I could do is, if I have, let's say, a Noah and a Paul and man, the woman with the bad speaker, I forgot her name.
Dawn.
Dawn or two.
Heather, Bob.
They could all come to my house and look around, say, "Holy cats, this is cool! Yeah, you got some multiflora, but you have a lot of beauty here, and we'll beat back the bad guys and encourage the good guys. And isn't that cool?" And then I'll say, "All right, let's meet at this time, 3 weeks hence. Then we can collect seed." So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of knowing where the plants are, knowing when
And-
the seed's ripe.
Yeah,
And-
when is that? Is that in the fall or the spring when the flowers are out, or
Well, if we're talking bluebells, then we're talking about 2 weeks after they bloom. Believe it or not, it's very fast, by mid-May.
okay.
So we'll just have to stay tuned on that.
Well, I think we need our the Board of Supervisors permission to do anything in the preserves like that. So I don't know if we can get some guidance from Dawn or Dave on, does this sound appealing? Or what should we do?
Yeah, I think it sounds, oops, I am off. Yeah, I think it sounds great. I think this is a really interesting project. So I don't see why we wouldn't talk about it at a board meeting. I don't know if there's a time consideration, Dale, like we got to get this started before the March board meeting, but I think, when Heather presents her report, I think we would have a good conversation about this. I don't see what the downside is. I don't know. Maybe that's a good question for me. From me is what would be a downside of doing this? Is there a downside?
Well, like Paul said, there's some downside that the uneducated could get the wrong plants or could inadvertently get a whole bunch of thistle seed in with their bluebells. There's always stuff like that. But the way I would picture approaching it, even from a board point of view, is say we approve of adding 1, 2, 3 plants, be thoughtful and careful and choose them with a small amount of approved, knowledgeable volunteers who have a pat on the back or a stamp, who are knowledgeable enough to avoid those pitfalls. And, there's no hurry. Every year there's a new year,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's right.
All I'm trying to do
I
now
think it's a
is
great idea though to do like a trial, a trial location.
And again, there's trials being done at Ian's place. Is way younger than mine. If you guys know Ian Palkowitz, I'm talking about, lives on Old Post, right by the creek. He has these, that are just in a young stage, but they're going to bloom a lot this spring, and he's super excited. And mine are an older thing, and an eighth of a mile away. People could certainly visit, kick the tires, think about it. And if nothing else, I could say, all right, come back this day and we'll collect seed that you can take home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
there's that.
just
sorry.
Go ahead, Andrea.
I was going to say, Dale, if we were to try it over at Banffshire, would you do it? You said maybe down by the creek. Is that where you would propose start trying it out or starting it if we were gonna just give it a trial go for a season?
Yeah, what we could do is, the same little gang of us, two to half a dozen, could walk around, and particularly the trail that parallels the creek where we have openings on both sides. That's just ideal habitat. I bet you $1 billion that both those plants were there 300, 400 years ago. They'd just been hoarded up by agriculture, pigs, deer, neglect, and invasives in the meantime. But they'd be happy all along parallel to the creek there because there's a million places you can see them along the east branch of the Brandywine, 322 south of Downingtown. There's a mile or two of them. You can see the light blue. So a lot of the Brandywine, they call them Brandywine bluebells. They're all semi-wild there. And with permission, you could get some from there. And I have enough around here now. I could just say, hey, I could send most visitors home with most of a garbage bag of these enough for, 300-400 square feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'm not, I don't know. And so you'll have to, tell me if I'm wrong, but so you're talking about, planting them or distributing seeds. And then at the end of that season, 2 weeks after they've bloomed, you need to recollect. What would happen if you just left them there?
Okay, yeah, good question. I don't think I was clear enough. So basically, pretend you're here at my house. Okay, so when we say, okay, they're bloomed now, and we'll set a date for 10 days, 2 weeks, and we'll collect the seed. So then we collect the seed, put it in garbage bags, and drive it to your house. And then we scatter those little arms of the plant that are halfway to yellow that have mature seed on them at your house. They fade away. They're gone. The seed will find its way on the ground. It rains, leaves cover it, and an amazing amount will germinate next spring. So it's only how to scatter the seed, and you can do it by drying them out and going by hand or by scattering whole arms of them.
Okay, so I guess this isn't a continuous thing that once the seeds have been, I guess dispersed, then
Right.
you're done with that area.
Yeah, that's all you get for the year. You gotta wait till next
But
year.
you have to do it again the next year is what I'm asking?
No. I mean, ideally, they'll come up. You might not see them that first spring. Let's say it's spring 25 now. If we do this in 2 months at your house, you probably won't see much next spring. You probably have to wait till spring of 27 to see leaves this big. But a round leaf this big with a little bluish to it is unmistakable if you know what you're looking for. And that's why you have me, and that's why I showed you those small pictures of them. If you remember where you scatter them, you can pick them out. Now, there's nothing wrong with scattering them in the same place year after year. You just don't have to. It depends on how much territory you want to cover, how thick you want them to be.
They're perennial.
You know?
They'll keep coming back, right? They'll keep.
Oh yeah, these are all long-lived perennials that also scatter seeds themselves, but they're not
Right.
the least bit aggressive.
Okay, great.
All right.
So Dale, let me ask one quick question there. Is there any site preparation or things you would have to do ahead of time? I mean, is there any pre-existing competitors, let's say, that would prevent those seeds from then germinating and coming back up the next spring?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, basically, also this spring it'll be 2 years since I've been scattering them at the Stroud Water Research Center with their blessings. So, I have many places I've scattered them where they're starting to come up. Around here, different aspects, east facing, south facing, thick areas, blah, 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 near the creek, on the hillside. All those areas, they've all come up well. Again, average to rich soil. You don't want a compact driveway. Deciduous shade, which we have almost all of around here, and enough room for them to grow, and they'll grow under multiflora too. So no, they're amazingly non-fussy. I think they want to grow around here again.
Yeah.
So here, I guess what I'm hearing is we're reintroducing native species. They help block out or crowd out invasive species in an ideal situation. Requires zero maintenance other than going out and spreading the seeds.
I would just say at the very beginning, some few select native species, so you don't want people to say, oh my God, they're going to scatter 200 things. We don't know what they're scattering. This
Right. No, yeah, right. I don't see a downside. Right. Like, I don't see, like, why wouldn't we try this? It's not like we're introducing multiflora rose bush and it's going to take over our forests.
And like I said,
so-
in many ways you have that little planting somewhere at the park. I'm dying to see if we have some leaves coming up this spring.
Yeah. So I think when we talk about this at a board meeting, the real only concern I think when you talk about details would be scope, like how much property are we going to scatter this on to test this out, and maintenance concerns, right? And so it sounds like there aren't any maintenance concerns. There isn't really a whole lot of cost. And the scope is the Bannister Creek bed area. So yeah, it just seems like a pretty easy thing to get through. I don't know if Dawn, my other board member who's here, well, your speaker's messed up. I'm sorry. But I don't think
We lost
I
her.
just don't see what the downside would be.
Oh, sorry. She's trying to get back in.
Yeah, you have to let her in.
Yep. Sorry.
She's texting me.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I think it's great.
And maybe we could just say a Saturday, maybe before or after your next committee meeting. If this committee meets the first Wednesday of the month, maybe whatever it is, April something, we could meet on a Saturday over here if people wish. I could say, all right, I'll be here 10 to 2. And, so maybe if anyone has a calendar nearby, I'm not that organized. Here, I got a phone. And then, like I said, I don't want to take up your whole meeting, but I'm happy there's interest.
Now, this is interesting. This is
Yeah,
great.
this is good. Dale, so the third Wednesday of the month is the township, the board meets. And so Heather would have to present this to them just to review. And then I think anytime after that, if approved, we could kind of get into it. That first Saturday of April is the 5th. I think the next couple weeks after that tend to be spring break and Easter. And so if it needed to happen sooner rather than later, I think aiming for something like the 5th or 6th that weekend might make sense.
Well,
but again, that's kind of pending approval.
Right.
Let me back up for a minute. Dale, would there be seeds available to disperse this early? Or, yeah, okay.
Not
So
till
we may be getting ahead of ourselves here.
not till 10th or 20th of May, something like that. But I mean, there's no reason a few of us friendly plant nuts couldn't meet here sometime Saturday the 5th. And say, oh, look at this, all these came up, isn't that cool? Oh, I forgot I have this plant, so we could have a friendly visit just for you to see how well they grow and come up in varied environments around here. And I would guess the soil in the park and the Banffshire is very much like the soil here.
Hey,
So
Dale, to help Heather out, and I'll certainly participate in this presentation. Can you send her your slide deck? And then maybe Heather, you and I can kind of work on like how to message this.
Yeah, how to present it in a couple weeks. Yeah.
And that's Heather, who looks disguised as Franklin Township.
Yeah,
That's right. She's got the official account up.
Now, Heather, have we emailed?
Dale, I will get your info to Paul or Bob. Have your information.
I'll send it.
Okay.
It's me.
All right.
All this is Paul's fault, really.
Okay. In fact,
Yeah.
I think he copied me on an email. So I will get in
Yeah.
touch with you after this, and we're gonna move on.
I'll send you guys an email
but-
right now. Thank you, Dale. I
Perfect.
appreciate you
Perfect.
coming out.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you
Dale.
so
Thank you
much.
so
So much,
Thanks,
Dale.
Dale.
Good
I'm going to
stuff,
have
Dale.
some pizza. Hope to see you out here tentatively on the 5th.
Absolutely, that'd be wonderful. Okay. So let's move along with our agenda now. We will go to old business. I don't think much of what we have there needs much discussion. Porta potty is an old business thing. the porta potty will be removed on or about March 14th. And the comfort station restrooms will be opened as soon as weather permits. So as soon as it's safe to do so without any freezing.
Yeah, I think there might,
concerns.
when I talked to Jeff about this, I think he said there might be like a couple of weeks or a week before we open the comfort station. So there might be just a little bit of no service for about a week or so.
Well, there won't be a huge gap. So hopefully we won't get any complaints. Signs, we'll address this again with new business, but signs and activities for children's engagement in Crossin. The Tot Lot, the Healing Garden. I had a note in there that we'll head this up, but we'll get to that in new business unless anybody has anything they need to comment on right there. The sign language sign under that same category, Bob will
Couple more.
install that as soon as weather permits. As soon as the ground is soft enough to drive the stake in there, then that sign will be installed. And I'm going to push the next item to about fun surprises in the parks because that's going to be addressed in the new business as well. And in fact, everything else on timeline projects will move into new business right now. As for new business, sorry, again, me trying to. We've sort of broken down with some help from Dave and other conversations that we've all been having the last few months. We've broken down the future projects for Pro to certain divisions. We'll start with park infrastructure and maintenance, which involves things like kiosks and trail signs. I'm going to have Bob jump in for a minute because in Franklin Preserve, there is a bridge that needs to be installed, but he has a scout an Eagle Scout who wants to do this for his project. So Bob, do you want to address that real fast?
Right, so I had this scout, Adam Swift, and I contacted him today. We are going to go out Sunday at 10. I'll show him the site. Dave and Heather and I walked it last week, found the site, took pictures of another bridge that we like, to put in that area. So I'll present him with that. And I'm also going to tell him about, I have told him about markers and posts in Crossin Park for the trails. So I can go over that with him as well when I go out with him.
What are you going to give him the option to do either, or is he interested in doing both?
They're both. It's a tie-in.
He's going to do both, the
Yeah.
bridge and markers.
Right.
Wow.
The markers are mostly just supplemental to what's.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you disagree, there's not a huge amount of markers that still need to be.
No, there actually is. In Crossin Park, there's actually more needed than in Franklin. Or are you just saying the few additional ones in Franklin, Bob? Which are you talking about?
Additional ones that we need
In Franklin, or all
No.
of Crossin?
in Crossin.
Oh yeah, that's a lot. Okay, that's great.
What's a lot? 30, 20, 10?
We're talking posts as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess 30 or 40 posts.
Whoa.
Okay. Well, we can discuss this, and for now, the bridge is the Scout's primary
Yeah.
focus right now, and then we'll address how much more needs to be done for marking.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, Bob, you took a picture of a bridge you like. Could I ask which one that was?
We went in on, what is that, the west side by the dumpster?
Yeah, so it's the one up against Parsons Road at the top of the stream.
Yeah. So we went in that way. We crossed over the first bridge. And that's the bridge that we talked about. Kind of duplicating that.
That's a good bridge, but it has telephone poles as the supports, which, as we know, is hard to get. But
They're only on the ends.
What's that?
They're only on the ends. It looks like they're just resting on those on the ends.
No, the whole bridge is supported by telephone poles on that one.
Okay, well, we're gonna take pictures of it underneath and everything else.
Yeah, and that's great if he can find telephone poles. But if not, we have another bridge that has 2x10 dimensional lumber or 2x12 dimensional lumber as the supports, and that's easier because you just buy that at Lowe's or Oxford Feed because they give discounts on Boy Scout projects.
Okay.
And the township's pretty tough on you got to have a engineered plan, has to be approved by the zoning officer.
Paul, how wide does the span have to be before that requirement kicks in?
They've made me do it for several, so I don't think there is a rule of minimum, but anything I brought forward. So I think what would really trigger it is if the bridge is more than 30 inches high, then it needs handrails, and then everything kind of kicks in.
Well, we planned on handrails for it anyway, because
Yeah, yeah. And you're in a pretty bad floodplain down at the bottom, so I think you'd want to put it up on a little bit of a foundation, like some timbers or something, just to get it up off the floodplain, because that's a difficult spot where you are. But good. I just wanted to offer, I have that approved plan. That's an engineered plan. I got it from London Britton Township. So if the Boy Scout wants to go with dimensional lumber, like on the Keene Trail, the two bridges there use that plan,
okay,
then he can do that. But if he wants to do the telephone pole bridge, I have a plan from the Forestry Service that would probably be acceptable. But again, it's hard to get telephone poles. So, and then it's hard to move them because you can't get a tractor down to that lower bridge. So that might be too tough to do. I didn't really think through it, Bob. Just offering you some ideas.
okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. The next item under the same category is that the two of the lower bridges in honestly, I don't know. Were they still in Franklin, or are they in Crossan? The two lower bridges that need some repair work done. One is the Memorial Bridge that's going to eventually have the rainbow paw prints, and then the one a little bit above that, they both have a fair amount of erosion, and so that's another project category for work.
Yeah,
to be
those
done.
are both of those are in Crossan, and I think the Memorial Bridge, there's plans to get started on redecking that pretty soon. That's the one where there was where there's holes, it seemed like, right through the bridge. So we're going to be redecking that in the next probably few weeks. You'll see it starting to get redecked.
Okay, and who's working on that, dude?
That's Matt.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you can take it off your list there.
Okay. Yep. Just need to know who's assigned to what. All right. Signs of trail markers we've just discussed. We know there's a fair amount more that need to be done. There's a few places that, as we walked, that we need signs for exits to parking areas and exits out of the trails for people who are trying to who are done walking and want to get out.
So Dave, do I have permission to talk to Jeff about that, or can I get pricing, or do you want me to stay out of it for those exit ones?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what we're talking about, the exit bridges.
So we had talked last month with you
Exit signs for trails.
that there's a few areas of the Franklin Preserve that aren't marked, like the little loops, and
Oh, yeah.
that there's these feeder trails, like the one that goes from the lower parking lot to the trail loop isn't actually a segment of any trail. It's just kind of and so we wanted to label that as in the intersection exit to parking lot so people know how to get out.
Yes.
And it would just be a small little sign, the same as the disc size, no bigger, and just put it right on the post.
Yeah, I think all we would just need to do is remind Jeff that we want to do that, right? And then we'll put the signs up. You know what I'm saying? Like we have the sign plan. We're putting all these directional signs throughout Crossan, so I don't see why we wouldn't just add that to the list, So So unless you have something specific in mind.
I
So like,
do.
for example, the loops, we're not naming the loops, right? We don't have names for the loops.
No,
So-
but right,
Over.
but there's nothing there. So I thought
Oh yeah, we should
it's
put
fair
something.
to say, loop, and if you want to call it a name or if you just want to give it a length or what, but loop trail or whatever, it's having it unmarked, I think is not.
No, I agree with you. So I
Agreed.
think the next step is yes. So we're gonna put a late sign there. We're gonna put sign. We need two, one for that loop, and then there's that one back to the. My brain just froze up.
Pico?
Back to the parking lot, right? So those are the two signs that are missing, and we just need to decide. Okay, well, what are we calling these things, right? So are we gonna just say loop 1, loop 2, loop A, loop B? That's really the decision that we need to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make some suggestions, but if not, I can stay out of it.
Yeah, if you want to make some suggestions, please do. Just you can write that up in an email, send it to us. That'd be great.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thank you.
Heather has left the building.
Uh-oh.
We lost her?
Yeah.
She's back.
Sorry, my laptop battery was getting low and I had to go. My cord.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you sound good.
Yes.
Okay, okay, so if you need me, I'll be here now.
Much better. Whatever you did, Don, do that every time. I think it's more frustrating for us when we can't hear you than it is for you, because we want to hear what you have to say. All right. QR codes is the next item. And this is something that I've been doing with other organizations for different things. And Dawn had mentioned to me that she already has them certain places in the garden. And I think there are a lot of places that we can use them throughout the parks and preserves. That would be great. I mean, even along some of the places where we have signs that we're talking about right now, trail markers and things. But especially like the "You Are Here" signs, when they go up, to have a QR code there so someone can, immediately pull up that same map on their phone and have it with them as they go through the trails. And Dawn was saying how, we can have QR codes on different, we can have them on different native species and things. When we start putting signs up, where people want more information, they could just, we'll have the name of a plant or a tree, and then someone can look, pull up that QR code and get more information. And Dawn also had the great idea of saying, as we work on these rock projects that are tentative right now, doing, painted rocks or snake projects.
Rock snake.
The rock snake.
The rock snake. That we can even like have a sticker with a QR code on the bottom of some of the painted rocks that say, you can,
And
take me home or bring me back, or bring back. Go ahead, Dawn.
we just needed to put QR codes still on the trees around the border of the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do trees, I think just some other major trees, because I know I have a hard time with identifying trees. So I think it would be really cool, with some of our major trees to put out the signs and things for those.
Yes, I agree. I think there are all kinds of different ways we can use them. But we just have to make sure that as we're doing them, that they're still valid and leading to, the place we want them to.
So that's that might be a good segue just to touch on making there's valid URL codes that go to places that are interesting. I still owe some time to spend with Jeff to kind of reorganize the web page, the Franklin Township website. And so, because when I think I've said it before, but when we built it, he and I kind of sat down and just said, okay, where's all the stuff from the old website? And we kind of did our best to organize it. now that we've been using it for a few years, we're going to try and rationalize the web page a little bit better, put information, kind of consolidate it in different areas. So long way to say, if as you guys think about like QR codes and like what kind of cool information might be interesting to have, electrons are cheap. We can always make a new page and just have a QR code to, pictures of plants that are in our parks or whatever it is that we want up there. It's very easy to do. So, well, I say easy, but it's capable. We're capable of doing it. And yeah, so please send your thoughts and ideas, because we'd like to make it, we want to make the website more usable for people, more interesting for people. So that'd be great.
All right. Moving right along. I think there was a fair amount of progress made at Banffshire when we had the volunteer day a few weeks ago. But there's still a lot more vine removal that needs to happen, is my understanding, like on more of the inner parts of the preserve that are not necessarily as easily accessed from the trails. And I imagine that this is probably true in other properties as well. So that might be a great project for someone to take over to identify, specific areas that need the most attention, that would be the most beneficial.
So Goodwin definitely needs it. And then Crosson is the biggest. Crosson, we could spend years in there, but that's the edge around Crosson is really, we've done some work in there, and the FSA has done some work in there. We had a volunteer spend weeks in there, but it could always use some.
Okay.
And Franklin.
I know.
Back up. I mean, is this kind of, if there's not a very specific kind of task that we want to do on any certain trail day, I mean, it is just kind of hitting some of these.
Yeah.
Could that be what we do that Saturday?
It could, but once the summer hits and everything's in bloom, it's just too hard to get into the vines and you're fighting it. It's just,
Sure.
it's
But
definitely-
earlier on in the season, I mean, I guess, kind of coming up, we'll have to do tubes over at Crosson. But other than that, if we don't have a specific, maybe, task for a Saturday, that could be it. We could.
Yes.
How difficult is this once things start getting foliage?
Not easy to get through it.
I don't bother. It's just too hard.
Too hard when, okay. So this is a off season.
Yes. Yes.
It's a cold month thing to do. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we will reassess, but they're also, we don't need to stick to once a month either. If there are people who are willing to do these jobs, are willing to cut vines and things, I mean, we can, we can do, 2 Saturdays a month, or, if there's a group who have a time they can all meet together, let's all try to figure out a way to maybe foster those meetings and projects.
To that point, I wonder if there's, I mean, there is a way. I don't know why I'm saying I wonder. Is having kind of a sign-up sheet of sort of willing volunteers to say, hey, we need someone to clear out vines, and
So
and then they just go whenever they have an opportunity to. We just let the township know, hey, I'm going to be clearing vines this Saturday, et cetera, et cetera.
I have 4 names from last week that I can, in your emails.
It's just to kind of like to Heather's point, it's like we don't have to always have a organized trail day. Those are great because it gets new volunteers in. But if there's someone who's just like, hey, I got a free Saturday, can I go in and clear vines? How do I do that? You give them the information and say, hey, just call the township, let us know you're in there, and have at it.
Well, I'm gonna
Dave,
send a bunch of guys in
Dave, is
there
there any
again.
way to provide like some instruction? Like I mean, I would love to take Tessa. Tessa needs service hours. We're just
Mhm.
not always sure exactly what we're supposed to be trimming. Is there some pictures or is it just
Yeah.
something we should research on the fly while we're there?
Yeah, so I think that's the detail that we would really need to make sure that people know what they're looking for. So
Right.
like a grapevine that's strangling a tree is obvious, right?
Yeah, and we
Um,
have those on our property, so we're pretty
yeah.
familiar with those. So if we just started small, I understand. But
Yeah. So I think that we would just have to identify like things that we would love to get pulled out, whether it's vines or multiflora rose bushes or whatever it is. You know, I've thought about it for exactly 30 seconds, so there's a lot of details that
well,
I
and I
probably
didn't know if it's something when maybe Paul and Bob are out and they're doing work, if they could take a picture and maybe identify something and provide that,
Yeah, I think that's a
and
great idea.
share that.
And again, it's something like, you know, we could have a page up on the Franklin Township site that just says, you know, invasive species that are killing our trees, and just have pictures of them. Like you know, if you want to pull out these rose bushes on your hike, go for it, you know.
Wear leather gloves.
Wear leather gloves. Yes, I learned that the hard way. What is this thing? Oh, I know now.
I have
So
a question for you. If there were people at I guess it was last 2 weeks ago's vine cutting, and they signed the release form and went through the little training, are they allowed to go since they signed the release form, or do they still need to ask the township every time?
they would need to let us know that you're going into the woods and you're operating in there. Because even if legally, I mean, I don't know what the release form says, so I can't speak to what it covers, but we want to make sure that we know who's in there doing what, right? So it's just they should be able to reach out to us and say, hey, I'm going in with a chainsaw into the park and I'm going to cut up some vines. I wouldn't want to do something, yeah. So that's the base level is, hey, let us know that you're going to be doing work in our parks, right?
Can they just like email info, or how should they go about that?
I would probably want to call and get confirmation that it's something that's appropriate to do, right? So
Alrighty.
call the office, talk to Jeff, say, hey, I want to do some work clearing out some grapevines in Crossan, and can I do that this Saturday, right? And then that would be the most appropriate way to do it.
Okay, and then if there are friends who would like to do it on a more regular basis, like they do hikes every night after dinner, and kind of are just walking around, like, is there something they can set up, or do they need to speak to Jeff every
Well,
time?
so this is something new, and I don't want to establish a precedent now, but I think to start, you would just say, introduce yourself to the township, say, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I plan on doing. I go hiking every month or every night, and I want to start pulling out rose bushes on my hike and taking them back to my house and disposing of them or whatever. And let us know what you're doing, right? I think that would be a good place to start.
Okay, thank you.
Is that something, Dave, that the pro could handle, the volunteer organization, or does Jeff need to organize it and handle everything?
So I don't know about organizing, but I think my primary concern is if someone's going into a park and they're doing some sort of maintenance work, or they're doing some sort of whatever, they're in there doing something.
Yeah.
We want to be able to at the base level, somebody sees this happening, calls the township and says, oh, I just saw some rando in the woods cutting down stuff. What's going on?
Right.
We can say, oh, that's Paul, and Paul's one of our volunteers, and he's clearing out invasive species.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of the base level that I'm concerned about, is we want to make sure that we know what's going on. Like the last thing we want to do is get a call from the resident saying there's somebody in the woods, you know, doing something, and we don't know what they're talking about. So I think that's the base level concern.
If they do it and haven't signed the waiver, they definitely have to sign the waiver first.
Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
The waiver is good for 1 year.
Yeah. So I would definitely say they should sign a waiver.
It basically says that they're on a volunteer basis, not a subcontractor. If you get hurt, it's on you, not the township.
Okay.
You know, that's
yeah. So I'm not.
I think everybody knows what it would cover, the waivers, you know, but But if they have not done this kind of thing before, then yes, they need to contact the township office and speak to Jeff, ultimately, and
Yeah.
they'll have waivers there that can be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't anticipate we'll have hundreds and hundreds of people marching into the woods with chainsaws and loppers. I think we probably will have 5 people who are interested, and it'll take us maybe a half hour to get everybody all organized, and then that'll be it. So,
Which would be fabulous.
which will be great. Absolutely.
100 people would be fun.
100 people would be interesting. I don't know about be fun, but it'd be interesting.
100 little chainsaws.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along. Park events. I'll go through some of this kind of quickly because yoga in the park is a idea. It's been done before. There can be some discussion about that. I'm sure lots of us know yoga instructors who might be willing to do such a thing, and I can talk to the people in the township office who have organized this in the past.
Yeah.
Wait, the same.
So
per-
the
they're not
woman, there
coming
was
back?
I don't know if she's coming back or not.
Who's that?
So I wrote that down because I was just brainstorming things, but there was a woman who led yoga in the park for the last few years. I don't know if she's coming back or not, but that might already be covered. But it'd be worth a phone call just to see what's happening with that. I don't know if she's going to come back or not, but I know that was going on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I think
Is that a phone call one of us can make, Dave? Or
Yeah.
is she in contact with Jeff or?
It was a
so
friend of Greg's.
I guess I would just say, like, when I say phone call, I would just text Jeff and say, is yoga in the park going on? But
And
I don't-
Andrea, I can help ask Stacy and stuff. And I was talking to Heather earlier today. There is that lady that's done it many times, and we can find out if she's coming back. And then there's that wonderful woman on 896 that she has the little bee farm across from the Christian Life Center, and she's wonderful.
It's
But
the
there's a couple,
Presbyterian church.
yes, and there's a couple wonderful yoga people, so we can get together and talk about that.
Yep.
All right. And the next is Easter egg hunt.
Oh,
Nothing has been decided on this yet, but Jeff basically told me that if it's going to happen this year, that Pro is going to have to do it. And that means
so
that,
Well, I think he would help. I think he said he would help, but
So
yeah.
Dave,
oh
what-
yeah, they'll help. But
yeah.
it helps.
Dave,
them.
what,
They didn't say you're on your own, but they basically said they're not
Yeah,
leading the organization this year.
I think the staff has been putting on a lot of events, and they've been going off really well. They've been really well attended, but I think they were like a little burnt out, and so they're looking for some help.
I was not trying to throw any shade on Jeff or the township office in any way. I was just trying to encourage that if we're going to do it, then we all need to rally and say we're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
I think my concern at this point with pulling something together for Easter is we basically have a month, and we know already that, again, Easter, spring break, I mean, there's a lot kind of happening in the middle of the month. So that kind of leaves you, to plan something maybe for that first weekend in April. And that's a month away. So could we feasibly pull something together that quickly?
So what needs to be done? I'm just thinking, is it to answer your question, Andrew? So we have to order candy, and if the candy's separate from the eggs, you have to put them together.
Yep.
So order candy and eggs, or order them
yes.
pre-filled.
There are places that you can get pre-stuffed eggs or candy in the eggs or little toys or whatever. So that it just basically becomes a cost.
It's a
analysis.
cost thing, right? That's what I was going to say.
So Jeff has so for the cost thing, sorry to interrupt, but for the cost, Jeff has a contact with Smarties, and we get we get
Yes.
too many Smarties every year.
He
Thousands
gave
and
me
thousands.
he gave me that information, and I
Like,
have the information for
think
the bunny costume rental and
yeah,
things.
that would be, but I think they're
Um,
donated. The candy's donated.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
But then the
Would be
candy's
okay.
donated, but that's very labor intensive.
Yes.
Stuffing Smarties and things into the plastic eggs.
Yes, that is true.
So again, that becomes a cost.
So Dave,
benefit.
is it all you do is Smarties, or didn't we do different candies the first year?
I don't remember what we did the first year. I think the second year it was Smarties, and that was it. But I don't know what we did the first year. I don't remember.
I will gladly take over the candy and eggs part of determining costs and
So
figuring out.
So
My
so at a high
understanding is that they
level-
did 1,500 eggs in the past. Does that sound about right?
yeah. So like what do we need? We need the eggs, right?
I think
We
you
got
probably need an Easter bunny.
we need an Easter
Oh,
bunny.
yes, yes.
We need an
Yeah,
Easter
You need an
bunny.
Easter bunny.
I don't know, like the Easter bunny might be booked because it's a tight time of year for him.
Well, would it be the Easter Bunny?
Well,
And then we need someone to be the Easter bunny. We
I
need
have
to
the
do-
costume. I have the costume information
Okay.
from Jeff, and a place where you're not going to get a stinky costume that somebody wore at a frat party, the night before.
I think
Jim
Jim's daughter.
Johnston's daughter was Bonnie Bunny last year.
Yeah, so maybe could reach out to her and see if she wants
Mike
to
could
do it
use
again.
her. And FSA are the ones that throw the eggs out.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of the tape I can give you that you mark off the area.
Mhm.
That was
And
my recommendation for this year, is that we stake out separate areas,
I think-
because in the past, all the kids over the age of 7, 8 run out, and especially if they're teenagers there, they get all of the eggs, and there are all these 2, 3, 4-year-olds waddling around
Right.
screaming and yelling because they can't get any eggs, and it's all gone. It's all done
Yeah.
in 45 seconds.
I think
So
that's a good suggestion.
I'd like to stake out some separate areas. And again, this could be
So
part of my thing, but then we just sort of stagger by maybe 5 minutes. We stagger that, the little kids go first in their area, and then the next bigger kids. And then if we want to, if one person wants to be a little crazy and really go hide eggs, make it a little more challenging, then that can be the kids who are over, 8
Maybe
years
we
old.
could do a
Um,
Easter egg hunt for the old bigger kids along the Crossin Trail or something.
So
That's cool.
the first year we did do 2 separate areas. We put the littlest kids under 5 in the tot lot, and we made a sign in the parking lot that said under 5 this way, over 5 this way. And the over 5 were in the garden, but I know the garden has a lot more care to it now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
We're not putting eggs in the garden.
Off limits.
There'll be no eggs in the garden. I'm just gonna tell
Yeah.
you.
I
Even
just
if
want
Dawn
to
doesn't say that, I'm saying that.
I just want to finish though. So
Go ahead. Sorry.
I know, Dawn, that you have put a lot of care in it, but being it's dormant, and last year you blocked it off so we couldn't even walk down the path. But is it harmful when it's dormant that the kids go through it, or what's happening in the garden right now? I thought the plants are just dead, sitting there.
This is probably the most fragile time, but that's just me.
Thank you. It's not dead. It's a living being, and nobody's allowed to go trumping through it.
And we could probably do the bigger kids either down on the one of the fields, or I wonder if we could do it. I mean, there's plenty of spots where we can do it. That's
You can't.
close to the tot lot.
You can't go too far, Dave, because what we found is there's one set of parents and multiple kids, and they can't be too far because the kids are so young, they can't separate them too far. So
Yeah, I
maybe
understand.
one in the grass field, one in the tot lot or something next to the
Mhm.
pickleball.
Easy.
Yeah,
These-
I did
these
like
are
the
details-
garden.
These are details we can work out very quickly. We just
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
figure out.
Well,
So
Date
I think
and
really the only
advertise.
thing the only other thing we would really need, which would be a nice to have, not a necessary, would be if we could get like a coffee lunch truck there just for coffee for the adults and hot chocolate for the kids, and because I think we know we can get the suit We just got to get someone to be the Easter Bunny, and I'm sure we can find someone if Jim's
Didn't,
daughter doesn't
didn't
want to
we
do it.
have the coffee truck out there this last year?
I think we
That's what
did.
Yeah, we had the coffee. That was very
good.
popular.
Yeah.
Coffee truck,
So
yeah.
do the coffee truck, and
I'm not
do
doing.
they have food
plant-
too? Just coffee.
I think
Just
they
coffee.
have something.
Okay.
It would be nice if there was, I guess if you're gonna do it right, it would be nice if there was a coffee truck and then maybe sweets. So,
Yeah.
cinnamon rolls,
Yeah.
that sort of.
Yeah, maybe we could buy a couple of
Mhm.
trays of cinnamon buns or something, or if we have another lunch truck. We don't want to have a whole bunch. I mean, I don't know how many people show up to this. I can't remember how many people showed up last year.
I think I remember hearing last year was pretty, it was, I think it was pretty well attended.
Yeah.
I think I did parking, me and one other guy from the FSA. I don't remember his name, Bob, tall guy. And I think I counted around 300 cars, 275.
So that might be able to, I mean, if one guy's selling coffee and the other truck's selling sweets, I like that idea.
So I think we ran out of eggs last year. Like there was a lot of crying kids at the end.
Well, that's why I suggested that we sort of stagger
Sure.
and yeah.
But I thought it was
Can't be a free for all.
2,500 eggs, not 1,500. But maybe Jeff could verify what the number was.
I think the other thing, I might have been confused last year, but I feel like the way we advertised the event was the events from 10, the Easter egg event starts at 10. And so people came in at like 10:15,
Yeah.
assuming that
And it was-
we weren't
and it was
doing
over.
the Easter egg. So my thought this year is the Easter egg event starts at 10, but we're not going to do the Easter egg hunt until 10:30, right? Or 10:15 or something where people can actually show up and,
So it is difficult, Dave, holding them back. And last year, kids broke through the tape and went at it before. Like the first year, I stood up on the tailgate, and the state policeman fired his sirens, and that was the launch. Then everybody
Yeah.
went into their designated areas.
yeah,
Last year was a little rough because some kids got in early, and then everybody just went.
yeah.
So
That's because some mom yelled go.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's
So
insane.
it's-
So one thing we could do is just not.
Who's gonna tackle the aggressive bombs?
Yeah, exactly. We need
Well, my point is, I don't think we can hold them too long. So if you get
No,
them
no,
there
no. I don't
10,
want to do that. I just
and
want to
then-
give
I
people
think
time to
30
show up.
minutes is a reasonable time though. And maybe we can figure out a way to, block it off a little
Right.
bit more or have a little something to occupy people.
Yeah.
We can put a little thought into that. But I'm gonna back up to we need to narrow down a date right now
Oh,
because
yeah. Let me look at it.
we're
Calendar here.
So is Kyle on?
it
She
can't
did
happen.
some-
Go ahead.
Kyle did some research on what the competition is. I don't remember what it is, but
Yes.
Kyle, did you figure out a good date? Because we don't want to conflict with some of the bigger ones around, like Cornerstone has one, I think, and New Garden or London Britain. I don't remember.
I think we were
Um,
gonna do the same time as the one in West Grove. That date,
West Grove, like Penn or
no, the one that at the West Grove Park, right at State Road and
Okay, I'm
841.
looking at your list, Kyle.
Goddard.
You said April 5th was Penn Picks with Bunny. The 19th was New Garden. April 12th was London Grove. AVBM was the 12th
That's a big one.
as well. So the 12th seems to be a big one. Nothing listed for London, Britain, Kennett, Elk. Yeah.
When is Easter?
Yeah, when is Easter? I was just
The
looking.
20th or 21st, whatever that's.
20th, the
20th.
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 But I
So-
don't think you want to do it the 19th because that's between Good Friday and Easter.
yeah, I think that's too close to Easter and if people are traveling or whatever. I don't have the list in front of me. I know you just went through it and I couldn't catch it that quick.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think that we don't want to conflict with the Bunny Day at Penn. And I don't think New Garden is necessarily much of a competitor for us
Right.
in terms of
Well,
draw. So
I'm sorry. When was the Penn one? Is that the 13th?
The 5th.
Oh, can we do the 13th?
That's Palm Sunday.
No, the day, the Saturday,
The Saturday, the 12th,
That's
I'm
the
sorry.
12th.
12th.
That's,
What's on the 12th?
that's
The 12th
AVBM.
Yeah, the 12th was London Grove and AVBM.
Well,
What's-
so we just have our township kids come. I mean, do we want
Yes.
kids from other townships?
I am also going to point out again that is spring break for Avongrove. Avongrove Charter, I'm sure all those schools, everyone's on spring break that week.
So that's bad because people are on vacation. going
Yeah,
twice.
I mean, I think so. I mean, I don't.
Well, we did. When did we do it last year? I can't remember what we did last year. I mean, maybe it's on the website.
No. Our kids only have off 2 days for spring break.
Oh, they do?
What's
Yeah,
the days?
Hang on, I really ought to know, but
I mean, my kids are charter, so they have that
Yeah.
whole week, that week.
Yeah.
All right.
No, the way that Avongrove School District is doing the calendars these years, I don't know. They get a whole week off at Thanksgiving and a
Oh.
week and a half at Christmas, and then no spring break. It's
So,
Weird.
so last year we did it on March 16th.
Wow, that's early.
March. Well, wasn't
Yeah.
Easter really early last year though?
Yeah, Easter's
was
really
earlier.
late this year. Easter's almost a month later than it was last year.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So
Easter,
March
Easter
16th.
bounces around a lot.
Yeah, it's just Ash Wednesday today. Today's the first day of Lent.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. What's everybody giving up for Lent?
Nothing.
I'm not Catholic. I don't know.
Me neither. I didn't.
I gave up
I'm a
Catholicism.
good Protestant, and I
Yeah.
just,
Same.
I just go to my services, and I don't have to do that level of sacrifice.
We're gonna try to clean out our closets and give up some clothes.
There you go.
I will do
Hoarding.
that too.
I've been accused of hoarding lately.
17th, 18th, and 21st.
Okay,
Oh, so you just have a long weekend.
right. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So
So March
that
16th
week
doesn't help
before
us.
doesn't really affect a lot of Avongrove
Okay, that's good to
public,
know.
public school kids. If we were looking for the 12th.
So the 12th would be okay.
So do we just want to just nail that down now for the 12th?
Yeah. Let's do it the 12th.
All right.
And
Mhm.
so then the checklist would be Easter bunny suit. We need to have a egg stuffing party, and maybe get the lunch trucks lined up. And I think if we can just give, I mean, I'm sure the office staff can help us coordinate like the lunch truck and that kind of thing. And then
Yeah,
I can-
Stacy knows a lot of that. Stacy
Yeah,
knows a
she's
lot
gonna
of
be
that
great.
information. Yeah.
So
So
I'm out
Heather-
of town on the 12th, but I want to make sure that I'm helping with whatever I can. So how about I reach out to Stacy tomorrow about the coffee truck and about a sweets truck, see if she has any info on that, and I'll get started on that. And Heather, if you need anything else from me, I mean, I'm happy to come have a margarita and stuff Easter eggs.
Is there a margarita involved in that?
Yeah, well, any alcohol. I'm not partial to margaritas. It just seemed
Yeah,
spring-like, you know?
it's an egg stuffing party. So
Yeah, be careful
have
what you
alcohol.
stuff in the eggs.
Yeah.
So
Let's get a bunny
There's
pinata.
nothing non-liquid that could possibly be inappropriate for kids.
I think the most urgent thing is to get the bunny suit because it'll probably sell out pretty quick. Like if
I will call. I have that info. I will call first thing in
And
the
then-
morning. I just needed to. We needed a date before I could move
Yeah.
forward.
I don't know if Kyle's keeping up with this as our note taker, but like we need a list of activities and then each of us can sign up. Like I did parking last year. I'd say the two of us couldn't handle it. We needed like 4 or 5 people for parking, and that it wasn't adequate.
Okay.
And then another one I just thought of was someone needs to get the Smarties donated. I don't know we can count on it.
I will take that too. I have the information.
Okay.
Jeff, give me the contact person.
And then if they don't donate them, Dave, we need funding. Like we're doing all this just by you saying you can do it, but we haven't gotten any funding approved by the board, and that's 2 weeks away. It's kind of late.
Well, because we didn't have a sort of a date yet, or deciding
Yeah.
what
I know. I'm
Let me-
asking
let
Dave
me-
if
let
we
me
can
worry
go
about that.
forward. I think it's a de minimis amount we're talking about.
Yeah, let me worry about the funding. I don't think we're going to be talking about thousands of dollars.
What about face painting? Anyone think, I mean, there is somebody that comes and does face painting. Do we pay for that at like Fall Fest, or is that a volunteer?
I
somebody-
think that was a
It's-
volunteer.
It's the lady that does the Gail Mauer's daughter who does the framing over there on Gypsy Hill Road.
Uh-huh.
It's her daughter, and Stacy has all her information.
Okay, I'll ask
Um,
Stacy about that when I email her
yeah,
about the coffee
yeah.
truck. Okay,
But
well,
what I will suggest to anybody, sorry for interrupting again. What I will suggest to anybody who does things like face painting or any other kind of like volunteer service like that is that, you know, we can subtly have like a little tip jar there, or even, you know, some of them have like a Venmo account that, if anybody wants to, I mean, when I have my kids, going through lines like that, we'll just, we give them some extra money or, send them a little Venmo tip kind of thing.
That's
So,
a good idea.
That's
I
good.
mean, so they're not being paid for their time, but they will ultimately probably make out better.
Now that bunny suit is down in Dover.
Yes.
So the
What
last 2
Beth
years,
didn't tell me was whether somebody has to drive down and get it or, which,
you have to drive down and get it and then take it back.
okay,
So the last 2 years, I had an FSA guy do it. He went down on a Friday and then it had to be back on Monday.
okay,
Huh.
Right? So.
all right. Well, I will touch
A
base.
long way to go for a bunny
Once
suit.
I find out if it's available, I will touch base with you.
there's not a closer bunny suit.
I know. That's like what I'm
Um,
thinking, Andrea.
Well, there could be, but Jeff's point was that they've tried different places before and you don't know what, his
You don't know what you're
comment
getting.
was you don't know what frat party that bunny suit was used at a few days before and how well they keep it and clean it. And, he swears by this place that, it's
If we keep
anyone who
doing
has
this,
to wear
maybe we
that for a
should
few
just-
hours is not going to regret putting their body in it.
You have
maybe
to
we
make
should
sure they
just
throw
buy
the feet
a
in.
bunny
So
suit.
the
What'd you say
feet,
about?
you have to make sure they throw the feet in. So,
The
the
feet?
shoes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the
Because
feet.
last year they tried to
sometimes,
charge us.
that's extra?
Yeah, they tried to charge extra for the shoes because they didn't want it back. And we were like, no, we have no reason to keep bunny shoes around. So they ended up giving it
Ew.
to free.
Okay. Well, I wonder how much a bunny suit. I mean, this will be what, the third year we're renting the suit.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's more cost effective just to have a bunny suit.
I just
Well,
want to say,
I can look into that too.
well, I just
Yeah,
wanna
let's find out what a bunny suit costs.
I just want to say that Betsy, Betsy used to make costumes for a living.
There it is.
She
We're in.
offered to make, so you can call Betsy and see
Mm-hmm.
if she'd make you a bunny suit.
But
That, you know what? That
There's a little bit
we
of
got
time
our
crunch.
answer, Dawn.
and just because we're talking about it on the website moremascot.com, you can get a decent looking bunny suit for $379.
Oh, that's easy.
That's pretty cheap, actually.
What's the site, Andrew?
Well, I mean, it was a very quick Google search. It was
Yeah.
moremascot, MASCOT.com. I'm sure there's other better,
Right.
I mean, I don't
Right.
know.
I think last year, for some reason, we were at like 150 or something for the bunny suit.
Yeah, so 2 years in a row, you got that covered.
If we use
Yep.
it more than
Yeah.
once, then,
Plus, you can save the trip to Dover.
right.
Heck, we might as well get a Santa Claus too, see if we can get a 2-for-1 deal.
There you go.
Right.
True. We don't have a Christmas event. Maybe we should.
Oh, gosh.
We don't have
an
that
indoor
tree
space for that.
lighting.
We don't have. an
Yeah,
indoor
I mean
space.
the
We have a
township office
tree.
is kind of depressing. But
Well, maybe that needs to be one of our projects is to grow an appropriate tree that in a few years will be worth lighting.
that's a good idea. I like that idea too.
Yeah. All right. We'll add it to the list.
Heather, do we want to
Yes.
have like a coloring page table
Sure.
or do we want to do the rocks?
I think, yeah, we've talked about it, and I think like the snake idea, if there were already rocks there, to like have them like sort of build a little snake, but I think that's a lot to manage on top of whatever else would be going on.
I think it's a lot to pull together that quickly
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
I think coloring pages
Yeah.
does sound good.
It's it is a 15-minute event and it's gone. So I wouldn't set up too much other.
Right.
It
Yeah,
happens
I think,
quick.
face painting, all the kids love that. And if there's anybody who like could do balloon animals or anything, does anybody have a contact
And then I like Kyle, I like that idea of just having like a little coloring station just to have kids have something to do. And, you know, you have a cup of coffee, you have a Danish, you watch your kid go get some Easter eggs and color something and you go home. So
We might
that's
even
great.
have, we might even
decorate-
have crayons and stuff. Ask Stacy, Stacy had done something on the tables in the pavilion.
Right.
And you put plastic over the tables and she had crayons and markers
And stickers.
and we might, and stickers. So we might still have those.
Okay. So Heather, when I email Stacy tomorrow, I'm gonna send her a little list and I'll CC you on it.
Perfect. I think they did Easter egg decorating last year too, or 2 years ago, but I don't know how, I don't know how
No,
involved, I
that's
don't know how
what-
involved
that's-
that is.
No, but that's
Um,
what she did.
Like they maybe had like, you know, plastic eggs or styrofoam eggs or something that the kids were decorating.
That's
Yeah,
what
they
she
were white
did,
eggs.
yeah. And
Yeah.
she also had pages, like Kyle said, to color pages too, but there were plastic Easter eggs and they put stickers and markers and stuff on and then took those home.
Okay. And those are fairly simple and cheap activities to pull together so the kids have something
Yes.
else to do if, you know,
As long as
don't
it's not too windy.
right. We have had that. Okay. Anything
We
else
move on?
on?
No, I think we should move on from Easter.
Yep.
That's-
Okay.
Oh, what time? We didn't come up with a time.
I think 10 o'clock is a good time, and
Yeah.
then the egg hunt will be slated for 10:30.
Yeah, I think that's an idea. So I'm looking at the web page now from last year, and it just says Crossan Park Easter egg hunt 10 a.m. to noon. Event is what,
Right.
but I think I don't remember when we started the Easter egg hunts, but I think what we might want to do is say 10 a.m. till noon. Easter egg hunts starts at 10:30. You know, Easter egg hunt at 10:30.
And sharp, say Easter egg starts 10:30 sharp or something.
Perfect.
So
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
To
So-
imply there's no leeway there.
Yep, I agree.
And then we did on the first year, we held back a small basket of candy in the comfort station
Mhm.
to soothe the crying kids. We
Yeah,
didn't
that's
do that
perfect.
last year, but I think it's a good idea.
I agree. That is a good idea.
If we can be tough enough to not let anybody start too soon, then we
Yeah.
won't have any crying kids this year.
And I think
You
having a
will.
big kid area and a little kid area is
Yeah.
a good idea.
No,
But
Heather,
we
you
can figure
will.
that out on the
We
fly.
had about 6 to 8 cars pull up at 10 o'clock. So by the time they walked over there, it was gone. Everything's
Okay.
gone.
Well, that's why I think, you know,
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
think the
being
big
specific
detail,
about the hunt time will help. And if people get there late, then well, you know, then that's their problem. But
yeah,
know.
exactly. And I think the only detail that I think we need to nail down, because I think everything else seems to be covered, is just making sure we have enough people to handle the parking,
Like,
to guide the parking. So, yeah, but I think
Okay.
Bob probably can.
well, Paul said he will. I'm putting Paul in charge of that, and we will get him. We'll do
Yeah.
our best to get three more volunteers.
Sounds
Yeah, I'll
good.
get it.
Does that work? Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Moving on. I don't know how much more we need to, you know, be timely about tonight, but a stargazing event is something that we've talked about. Dawn and I have talked about that too. One of her master gardeners has a Girl Scout troop that she wants to do that for. And her friend Allie has all the contacts at Mount Cuba and things for bringing in telescopes and whatever else would make that really fun. Movie nights we have done in the past. I just have that on there as an idea to, you know, maybe bring back again this year. Anything that, you know, gets more involvement from the
That's a
community.
great event for like October.
Mhm.
When we have those really nice nights.
Right. I threw in their live music event because I know Bob has some contacts with some people who like to do live music. and we have some other friends. But you know, like just up, even the way that they were set up for the Fall Fest.
Yeah.
People could hang out at the pavilion, or I know there's a no alcohol policy at the park, but I don't know if we're able to ever bend that for certain activities.
It is.
Oh no, because
can.
we've had wine trucks there before.
Yeah,
so-
we can.
yeah,
It's
okay.
so it's if we have an event there, we can, I don't want to say bend the rules, but we can have alcohol served and that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't see why that would be a great event, great
Jam
idea.
in the park.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. That'd be great.
Okay.
And it's yeah.
So that's something I wouldn't mind taking over as my project for after we get through the spring.
Cool.
Structured overnight camping events, I thought might also be something fun,
Yeah.
Start out with things like Girl Scout troops, Boy Scout troops, things like that, or
We've
the
talked
code-
about that as a
the-
board a few times,
Mhm.
and we've never really sat down and figured it out, like how we would do it. Because usually what happens is someone will come in and will be like, I have an event in 2 weeks and I'd really like to be able to camp at the park. And what happened, and then there's all these questions that come up, like, do we need to have porta potties? Do we need to have security? Da, da, da. So I would love to work on this and just kind of formalize it and make a decision, because I think everyone on the board thinks it's a good idea. We just there's just some questions about what we would need to do. So, but that's a great idea.
Dave, I'm sorry to interrupt. That just made me think about when you mentioned the porta potties. Will they be able to make sure that the bathrooms are open for the Easter egg hunt? I know you said there'd
They
be a
should
couple.
be open by then. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I just know you
like, I
said there would be.
think, so
I'll confirm that with Jeff, so there won't be any
yeah,
questions.
it should be open by mid-April. I think they'll be open by April 1st. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think
Okay,
it's the
you
end
just
of March.
reminded me when you mentioned the porta potties again.
Yeah, so the porta potties getting collected on the 14th. So I think it's like a week later we'll be turning on the comfort station.
On Andrea. Oh, wait, am I on? Andrea? Is she still there?
Sorry, I'm here. I was on mute. I was typing. away. I'm
Add
here listening.
police to your list for Easter egg. I guess we have to have a state trooper there.
No.
No? Yes,
No, I
Dave?
know.
I don't,
We-
I don't know.
It can't hurt. I mean.
Yeah, we have in the past. We have.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do, so once we get our list together, we can just sit down with the office staff and say, okay, here's our list of stuff. We're calling all these people. What are we missing?
And maybe they have a list from last year that we can just copy.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do.
Like a punch list that they went through.
Yep, I'm sure they do.
This is totally off topic, but kind of related. Paul and I had talked to Jeff a while about this, about sharing documents and there being some way to archive these documents so that we're not reinventing the wheel every time. I know, I hate to bring it back up, but maybe it's something we could talk about in the future, but this is a perfect example
Yeah,
of it.
I think it's easy. I think that's easy to do, Jen.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
idea.
It's just- we just-
Google Drive and.
Yeah, it's easy.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's we'll probably have to build it in real time, meaning as we generate the documents, we'll be like, oh, this is a good good for the folder,
Yeah, and then I think you guys I think Dave, you even had mentioned it before, making it like a link on the Facebook page or on the township page, but then like having it password protected to like allow new board members in or something like that.
Yeah, but I think it'd be easy for us to just have a, if you're on the committee, we send you a link with, yes, but what you just said.
Yeah, okay. I know we had talked about it before, but this just reminded me of a perfect example.
I think it's a great idea. I'm sure Stacy, so I don't know what their file system is. So I know Stacy works electronically. Jeff works from his notebook mostly, I think. I don't know how much he fills out on his computer. So I think that's a conversation we should have with Stacy and say, hey, we want to start building these documents so we're not, like you said, reinventing the wheel every year. And I know she's probably has something that we can talk to. I'll talk to her. about
Okay,
it.
Well,
and yeah,
from-
and like slave the flyers and stuff like that. So we're just
Yeah.
really just changing dates and stuff like that.
I
From
think
the fall festival, I know Stacy has notebooks. I mean, of wonderful notes and wonderful stuff. She's was incredible.
Do we lose Heather?
There we
There
go. Sorry, my cursor wouldn't unmute. Okay, educational sessions and things. Dawn has a lot of great ideas. We've talked about a bunch of different things that we can start to initiate. And I'm not going to go through too much of that unless, is there anything in particular, Dawn, you want to bring up tonight? Or you want to just go through this a little later?
Heather and I just talked, there's all kinds of opportunities with the garden and with the park and, you know, there's just, and with working with the library, because the library, David, who's the director of the library, I mean, because we give them money, they will even pay to find people to teach classes and things for us. So, you know, we've got a real plethora of stuff we can play with and work into doing programs. So we had a nice talk this afternoon.
We did painting classes and
Yeah.
sketching, you know, just horticultural learning opportunities. I mean, there's
And
a lot.
about
What
the
is-
bees and the birds and the bees and the, well, not the birds and the bees.
Well,
but-
So what is
Depending on
stay
your
away from-
audience.
the you just when you're talking about the painting class, what's that? Is it wine and paint? Like when you, it's an event where you paint something and it's like a night out where you
Well,
wine and
Well, there's that, but I was thinking more of there's plein air painting, and I was thinking if we have painting in the parks, and David does it for all the townships that come to the library, then we can have an art show. The library has an open room at the library. We can have an art show there with, you know, little cocktails and stuff with those paintings. It would be wonderful. And there's nature sketching that there's teachers down at the community college. And there's one down at up at Lancaster. They have several people that teach nature sketching and stuff like that. We could do a wine and thing, but I was thinking more.
oh, you're thinking like a grown up. I'm thinking
I was
like
thinking like a
Well, both ends. I mean, there, you know, like you can do,
we can do both.
you know,
Right.
like Dave's talking about, you know, the sort of guided painting things where you go, like, you know, bunch of friends get together and try to
Right.
paint the same picture and have
Maybe
a bunch of
that'll
fun.
be the rocks. We'll do an
but,
adult
yeah,
rock painting.
Right, but you know, but there are kid friendly versions of that.
Right.
Perfect. All right.
Okay. All right, park installation ideas. Dawn said that she is more than happy to take over the leadership of doing painted rock ideas and the rock snake. This thing's gonna be legendary before we even
And
get off the ground.
Dave's education station. I want to make
Right.
that,
Yeah.
that happen.
My education station. Yeah. Well, Bob gave birth to the education station. I just expanded.
Hey, Dawn, if you do the snake painted rocks, I suggest you put it in like a mulched area so that the lawnmower people don't have to weed whack around it.
Oh, yeah, Jeff and I have already talked about it.
Good.
We've talked about the educational signs and those concepts will continue to evolve as we, you know, get these other projects moving along.
Yeah, more of those.
We've talked about the Gaga ball pit, and I know Paul has can visualize a lot, and I'm gonna use his knowledge and construction expertise. But that's another project that I kind of want to move forward with and try to put together. budget wise. Because I know my kids will, I mean, they love the ones at their school, and
Yeah.
it would be something that they would, I can
What
go
is-
down and read a book while they do that with their friends for a
What is
few
Gaga
hours.
Ball? I don't think I know what Gaga Ball is.
So
Oh.
it's just an octagon of 30 inches high wood ring.
Okay, I know what
And
it
the
is.
kids beat the ball around in there, and if they hit each other, they're out. So it's
I
like
got it.
dodgeball,
Okay.
but
All right, I
And
know
there-
what it is. I
There
see it.
actually were kids that play it down there when we do the reading. They had made a little dirt one outside the baseball diamond. And they were, they were
It was
early teenage guys that came and they were loving it.
Cool.
so it's pretty inexpensive, Dave. It's just the cost of the lumber and maybe some
And
Trust-
there's no specific size that it needs to be. It's not like a
Right.
regulation kind of thing, but
And-
it's even something that we could make make a decent sized one to start with, and then if we make a little smaller one for littler kids to to play in.
Is this
Um,
a potential Eagle Scout project?
yes.
I think so. Yes.
Awesome.
But I'd want them to buy a kit, some of the homemade ones, because when I built one, I went and looked at the ones at the school and the churches, 2 churches and 2 schools I looked at. And the homemade ones don't last very long. So there's a kit where you buy the angle braces because it's an odd angle. It's like, it's not 22.5 degrees. I don't remember what it is, 16.5 or something. So they say the little angle braces for the corners, and you just buy lumber from Lowe's and put it together. And then the other part of it is putting in the foundation. If you put it in grass, it turns to mud pretty quick. So some people put rubber horse mats down, but that adds up to a lot of money. That would be like $1,500 in horse mats. So I just did crushed stone for the bottom. That's what the Boy Scouts have at Camp Ware as well. They have crushed stone.
Okay.
Bottom. So you need to dig out some dirt, put down some crushed stone, put the thing on top of it. It's
Easy.
like a 1 weekend project.
Okay. Dawn, I'm punting back to you, the Healing Garden and Meadows. We talked about the, waking up the garden for the April. You're still on mute, Dawn.
Okay.
Waking up the,
Yep. Well,
garden.
I'm hoping that will be Saturday, the 26th, and then a rain date of the 27th, or we might carry over to the 27th. But I need to talk with Ally a little bit more about what there's going to be an educational component to it. And then
There
we
you go.
will, split the plants and things like that. So we've got some work to do.
one.
And then I had sent Heather, I sent you the wrong thing about the meadow, but then I resent it again.
I did get the second one, but I haven't had time to look at it.
I know, but there's another meadow class that I want to take. And because it's not as easy as you think it is to really make a bona fide meadow. So I'm making sure that we know about it, and then we have to find funding for it. Of course, we have to find out how much it's going to be, and then how much it's going to cost. So,
To bring you all up to speed, Dawn is going to attend it's online, right?
yeah,
The course, yeah, it's an online course about establishing meadows, like what we've been talking about. But it's 129 or 179, so it's a substantial amount per person to attend.
mhm.
And
And I'll send it out. I'll put it on the park page and the garden page so people can see it, because I think it would be interesting if anybody wants to. It's a 4-part series on that. It should be really good.
Okay. We can take a look at that. All right, next. Next volunteer day, March 22nd, repairing tree tubes. I know that there are a lot of areas that there are tree tubes. Paul, do you have an idea where the most effective place or the most needed location would be to start?
No,
Is it
I want to
better
go
to
look.
have- Huh?
I want to go look. It's either Franklin Preserve or the Keene Farm has 1,700 that needs help. And then there's always Peacedale Preserve, but that's not a township property, so I might just let Natural Lands deal with that.
Mhm.
I would want to look around before, like we had a
Okay.
good windstorm this weekend, and we want to see what happens.
Okay, well, we're gonna schedule that date for right
Yes.
now, unless there's a monsoon that day or something, for March 22nd, and we'll publish it. And you've told us before, like what kind of the
Right.
mallet,
I-
and the
I wanna
different
go look.
things we
Right.
need. Like, do we have enough? Like, will we provide zip ties? Do we need to get some ahead of time? I mean, we'll
Yes.
talk about what we need
Yeah, you're
for
right.
that.
Zip ties.
Okay. All right. April, we've already talked about. Our April volunteer date will be helping out Dawn and Allie with their wake up. And we're done with those. Now we're at public comment. Do we have any additional? Go ahead, Dawn.
I just wanted to bring up two things. I wanted to thank Kyle and Mary for thanking our Bluebird Queen. I don't know how many of you know Amy. Amy lives right across the street from Crossan Park, and she has adopted the Bluebird Trail, and she is one
Oh.
of the best supervisors of that trail. She took down every Bluebird box this spring, put new roofs on them, put a new back on them, put new numbers on them. So I'm going to, when the birds start coming back, I want everybody to put on our Facebook pages if they see the birds. I say, watch but don't disturb. So that's
Right.
to tell us how many bluebirds they see and where they see them. And that's really exciting. And then also something we're working on for the wonderful MS4 that we're going to have to spend all this money on for sediment reduction on both of our White Clay and our Big Elk. We as a township have to pay for projects to do sediment reduction in those watersheds. With that said, we also have to do some educational components to that. So I'm going to try to do a class using our rain garden. And we have the Wild and Scenic River people that can do the class with us, and they actually put in our rain garden at the office. So I'm hoping to have a rain garden class because people in our township that are within White Clay can have these people come to their house and show them where to put in a rain garden. And they can give grants up to $2,500. And Jeff just put it out on one of the last Facebook pages from the township about that. So, and then there's going to be grants through Chester County that might cover for the elk portion of it. So that's something I'm working on and helping out with, but a rain garden class might be something in the offing as well.
Great.
Yeah, and that's a good point, and might be another aspect that the pro can help the township with is, MS4 isn't just, okay, we're going to do these engineering projects and clean up stream beds. There's all these other parameters, and like you point out here, rain garden helps us fulfill an obligation that the township is under, and so there might be other things that we can do and this organization can do to help kind of build out that educational piece of the MS4 requirement. So just throw that out there.
It's great. It's great for our environment and our community, and there are a lot of
Good stuff.
there's a lot of feel good stuff too.
Yep.
As well as
So if
benefiting
township
your
residents
own
do
property.
the rain garden, can the township get credits for that?
No, unfortunately not.
just for the educational.
Yeah, this is just the educational portion to let the residents know what, about sediment reduction and
Now there are stream
water.
restorations that we're going to do.
Yeah.
And there are what are those things in suburban areas? The
Yeah,
drainage.
the stormwater drainage. Yeah.
We have to go through and look at all those and make sure they're all cleaned out and we're working efficiently. And we have to go through the whole township and do an audit on all the drainage.
So we just had that conversation on Monday, at our workshop meeting. So if you're really interested, and you want to hear me do my monthly rant on MS4 costs, you can go see that on YouTube.
When was that, Dave?
Monday. Monday was our workshop meeting. So I think, what did we talk about? We talked about MS4 and we talked about our road program on Monday.
Okay.
If anyone has something else, let me know. But otherwise, I was gonna go.
Go ahead, Mary. You're
Okay.
up.
I have so many things, and I am so regretful of not doing this at the beginning public comment, by the way. But the first thing I want to bring up is the White Clay Crescent Preserve, because I've been hearing from a couple people that there's no real access to it. I know that you need a four-wheel drive or whatnot to get up to the top, but apparently the ruts are getting really bad, and even on like low-lying trucks, it will rub the belly. So I just kind of wanted to see if there's any,
Yeah.
ability to make access easier at that preserve.
So the answer to that is yes. There's actually, we've been talking about this now, I think for about a year. Last year wasn't that bad, but this year, to your point, the ruts are getting bad. So the White Clay Crescent, there's kind of three phases. I think I have a file on this, but there's three phases to White Clay Crescent in terms of what we could improve. And the first one is what you said, which is the road that takes you up to the small parking lot is eroding. And so phase one is, let's look at what we can do to fix that so we can access the parking lot. It is a steep road. There's really not much we can do about the elevation. But we can fix the ruts. So that's on the agenda. I don't think we're going to be able to do it this year, but my plan was to propose these three phases for next year to get it on our capital plan. So that's phase one, right? We got to fix the road. Phase two is the small parking lot. So that parking lot up there, I don't know, Bob, maybe 2 trucks.
Yeah, that's about it.
And which again, it's White Clay Crescent's a very small area, so you don't necessarily want a whole big parking lot, but there might be some room to actually do something with that parking lot to either maybe add an additional spot or maybe make it a little bit easier for people to maneuver. So that's phase two. And then phase three is something we talked about. I think I've had conversations with like 6 different people over the last year about making a perimeter trail around White Clay Crescent. So similar to what we did in Franklin Preserve, we have a hiking group that visits White Clay Crescent a couple of times a year. And that's sort of generating some interest. We don't anticipate it to be a destination preserve. I don't think people are going to go there like they do with Crossin or Banffshire. But having a little perimeter trail there might be a nice addition. So we're exploring that.
Are there any options for like parking down below and then you have access to walk up?
The difficulty there is the 2 homes. There's not a lot of space there. So like it's kind of a funny way to say it. It's like a landlocked preserve. Like you're surrounded by a residential area, and the actual access road kind of snakes between two homes. So it would be difficult to put in parking down there. So like when the preserve was put in, the thought was that this is kind of like a real true preserve, right? There's not a lot of access. It's going to be green. It's a place for animal sanctuary, and we would have that one little access road. So it's very difficult. So what most people do when they access the preserve, and this is why I suggested we do like a perimeter trail, is they access it from an other location, and then they travel through the preserve and go to continue on their hike. So it's not a place where they stop and hang out. It's a connector. So the thought here was, rather than people just kind of creating their own path through the preserve, let's have a perimeter trail. So we keep a large area of unopened animal sanctuary. I'm using the wrong word, but I think everyone catches my meaning. So people can easily go around the perimeter, and they're not marching through the center of the preserve or creating their own trails and then moving on to wherever else they're going. So that's the plan. That's the long-term plan. I think the most immediate concern is fixing the crown of the road, so people have a little bit easier access to drive up there. So the plan is getting that in the 2026 budget. So
Okay.
yep, that's the
Alright.
best I can do, Mary.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I was reading the bird survey or whatever, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I just want to get up there and look for birds. Okay. Next I have a friend who is willing to make a sign for free for Franklin Preserve. It would be on wood and it would be burned. I didn't know if there would be any sort of specifications required to be donated.
What would be the sign? It would just be a sign that says Franklin Preserve.
Yeah, just a sign that says Franklin Preserve. Because if you see the one that is there now, you can't even read it, really.
I'm trying to think about what that sign is.
Yeah, it's just a brown sign on like street sign kind of material.
Dave,
But that's
this
something you can think about. That's
might
just
piggyback a little bit onto what I discussed with you about, I think Mary had mentioned to me that originally, the plan was to have more of a parking area on the Franklin side and not necessarily crossing
Oh yeah.
you said that basically that's just going to be, it's not going to be paved. That it might just be used in the future for overflow parking, but is not going to be an actual
Yeah.
access
Mhm.
location. That
Mhm.
crossing will be the.
Yeah, I think the question would be, where do we start if we're going to add a sign, right? So we'd have to make that decision. Hey, we're going to put a sign up, and then what does the sign look like? So free's good. I like free,
all
but
right. I'll come up with something to bring to the board, the
yes,
supervisors.
I think that would be the step.
Okay. Because
Just
the
so
other
we have. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry. The Zoom gets me every time. My other thought was if that's not something you'd be interested in, he could probably do like the loop signs or two parking lot, or you know what I mean, like burned wood. So that's just kind of another idea if you guys have any interest in either of those. I'll keep moving.
Hey,
The other
can I say something for Dave? Like putting up the preserve sign, Franklin Preserve, but there's no entrance to it. It might be a little confusing. We'd have to be careful where we put it. But then why do we separate Franklin Preserve from Crossing Park? I know they were acquired different times, but we have that split rail fence between the two. And I don't know why. Maybe we could take it down and kind of remove the border so people can flow between the two parks easier.
oh my goodness, I could have him right crossing Franklin.
Yeah. And then instead of having the drive off of Parsons Road, we could make the driveway off of Crossing Park entrance. It's just a thought. And then one more comment, Dave, is we got in a little bit of trouble for having debris piled in that parking area. And we cleared it, but now they're using it again for dumping mulch and branches and stuff like that. And I I don't have a problem with that, but I think they should do it off of the parking lot, the gravel, put it off the gravel so that as it deteriorates, it's off the gravel. Is that
Yeah,
fair?
I agree. Mhm.
And then the QR code, whatever QR code you want on a map, just let me know. The other thing is I redid Bamshire's map. So if you want, I can send that to Heather to get okayed or whomever.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you.
To put the map to put on the kiosk.
Yeah, and on the website. The one I did like 3 years ago is awful, so I wanted to update it.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, actually, I'm such a liar. I do have one more thing that I wanted to actually thank you guys. Township wise, you guys did me a job of printing out something for me for free that I've been working on with London Britain. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for that.
What are you talking about, Mary?
Oh, the township printed out something on the plotter for me, so I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh,
Very cool.
okay. All right. Well, people are starting to scream in my household, so I want to wrap this up as quickly
Well,
as possible. Oh,
There's
go
a
ahead.
couple other public on here. I don't know if anybody has any other public comment.
And Taya, are you still with us? Did you have anything to say, or you just? She
I'm
may not.
here. I was just
Oh.
listening in. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you for all that you do, as always.
Thanks.
All right. Next meeting is Wednesday, April 2nd. If anybody doesn't, no one has anything else, then I move that we adjourn.
All right. Sounds
Thank
good.
you
Thanks,
all.
Ed.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you all. Have a great night.